Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. It's the morning after the night before. We're still feeling really deflated here at the Chelsea Fans Channel, but I suppose we have to now have a bit of a post-mortem and try and find out where it went wrong and find out if there is any room for optimism. So, over to you, Jack. Where did it all go wrong last night?
Mate, it went wrong in the opening 10 minutes. We were so full of enthusiasm and excitement, just before kick-off, bearing in mind one goal would win it for us.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the whistle blew, it was apparent that Chelsea, their minds weren't in it. PSG were much better team in the opening stages. Ibrahimovic was given so much room. It was embarrassing. Like Cahill and Ivanovic, meant to be our centre-back pairings, they were playing a mile apart from each other. And Ibrahimovic, such a big target man, it was like too easy for them. They were just pinging him out every time.
Yeah.
He's holding it up, bringing players in, and we were under the cosh from the off.
Of course, Cahill and Ivanovic have to accept their responsibility there. However, I think it's important here not just to hammer them. It was very intelligent play from Ibrahimovic, wasn't it? To kind of play deeper.
He was dropping
in the
deep.
pocket between the midfield and the back line.
Yeah.
It made it very difficult for us to pick up, and it was apparent straight away that their goal was coming.
Yeah, and everything was going through him. And from the stands we could see that happening. But like you said, it was the cleverness of Ibrahimovic's play. Like he was playing in this sort of no man's land zone. Yeah. So Cahill was sort of going to him, but then leaving gaps behind, and Fabregas and Mikel weren't properly dropping deep enough to cover.
Yeah.
It was on the cards. Was it Lucas, their number 7 down the wing?
Yeah, he's great.
He was causing us problems right from the off. And it was coming.
And it was inevitable. When the goal went in, and I think everybody looked around and just said, that's been coming since the kickoff.
Yeah.
However, we then rallied. I think the supporters did their job. I think that the stadium, we went 1-0 down. The Paris fans went mad, but
we rallied.
The Chelsea fans did very well. I think that all four stands were on their feet. We really did try and get behind the lads, and it worked. I think Diego Costa's performance was exemplary, and if everybody played with the commitment that he showed, we would have won the game.
We wouldn't be in this problem.
No.
I think along with Costa, we've got to have a shout out for Kennedy, because he was fantastic in the first half. Considering he's not meant to be a natural left back, this kid is going to go far. And in my eyes, I would actually like to see us kind of convert him from his natural left wing position, or whatever he naturally is, into a left back and turn him into a modern day Roberto Carlos.
Really?
You heard this here first.
Because
he's great in the tackle, Rob.
I agree. I agree. He's fantastic in the tackle. He doesn't actually have a flaw in his game. He's got a great eye for a goal. He's strong in the air. He's strong in the air. He's got strong on the floor.
Tats.
Yeah, he's got some good tats. He wears gloves. There's the flaw.
That's the one.
Gloves, and we're in March. So that's unacceptable.
Yeah, short sleeves and gloves. I don't get that.
Exactly. Right. But it wasn't good enough overall. But you're right. There was a few. We're gonna have to dig deep here, but we're gonna try and find a glimmer of light, and that light is probably Kennedy and Costa.
Absolutely. But then that light on Costa was immediately extinguished with the hamstring injury.
Yes. Do you know what? Just thinking about your remarks regarding Kennedy there, I'm very interested in your thoughts here, actually. Could you please comment below? Let us know. Do you agree with Jack's suggestion there that he could be converted into a perfect fullback? Or do you agree with me and think that he's probably too good a player, too good an attacker to waste at fullback? It's a very tricky one, because obviously you need fantastic fullbacks, but I'm not convinced that he wouldn't be better utilised. He's got an eye for a goal.
No, I know exactly what you mean, but seeing him up close like we did last night in the flesh, and seeing him play he's one of the youngest players on the pitch.
Kept Angel Di Maria quiet.
Angel Di Maria, he was in his pocket the whole game.
For that first half at least, yeah.
He didn't do anything of note because of Kennedy was so solid. He was also getting stuck. He was one of the few people that was getting stuck into Ibrahimovic as well. And, he's solid, he's sturdy, he's fast, he's pacey, he's got the Brazilian skills, he's got an eye for a goal. He is the new Roberto Carlos.
You heard it here first. I suppose now the thing that we have to discuss was the game turned, and it was over as a contest the second that Diego Costa went off injured, wasn't it?
Oh, massively. Heads dropped. We'd had a gilt-edged opportunity to score, hadn't we? Just sort of moments earlier. Then
that was a microcosm, I think, of Eden Hazard's season for Chelsea. I think that he had it on a plate to put us in the driving seat, and 30 seconds later we're 2-1 down.
Yeah.
It was such a shame. It was such a shame that he didn't put that away. I think Willian did very well, forced the keeper into a good save. Keeper's parried it straight to Hazard's feet.
Hazard,
and he sort of
Hazard
bobbled
of
it back
old
in.
would have just smashed that in.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Yeah. How do you think? Do you know what? I'm very interested here. Again, I could do with your thoughts. Please comment below and let us know. Do you think how it's looking like Hazard's going to be leaving? You know, that is something that we'll come on to.
Yeah.
But if he does leave, which is looking inevitable, how do you feel like he will be remembered as a Chelsea player? Because he's been there 4 years. I'd say 2 of those years have been fine. One of them, he was electrifying.
Yeah.
And one of them has been abject
disappointment. Yeah.
So those 4 years overall, how do you think he'll be? So say he goes to Real Madrid and comes back as a Real Madrid player. What sort of reception do you think he'll be given at Stamford Bridge?
I think he's sort of ruined his own legacy.
Really?
To be honest
Strong
with you,
words.
I think that Hazard totally had it in him / has it in him to be remembered as a Chelsea legend, as a Chelsea icon, if he continues to play for us, right? Which we both agree that's probably not going to happen. But ask me this question 18 months ago, and in my eyes, there'd be no way that Eden Hazard could do any wrong.
Yeah. Well, this time, in fact, if you catapult yourself back 12 months, we were discussing Eden Hazard as a potential Ballon d'Or winner. The fact that he's now doesn't even get into the Chelsea starting 11, if you pick our best players, in my opinion, at least on current form, it's almost an unparalleled drop in form.
Yeah, an absolute trapdoor he's gone through.
What's going to happen here, actually, though, Jack? Because the bigger clubs that have been sniffing around him, and there's been huge fees mentioned. I think I read.
And Madrid,
also I read 80 million could have been the fee that Chelsea were looking for. The potential suitors who can play that, let's face it, are 2 clubs: PSG, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
They're not going to spend £80 million on him at the moment in this current predicament he's in, are they?
Mate, if he wants to move away from the club that badly, right, you've got to put yourself in the shop window on those big European nights. So if he really, really wanted to move away from Stamford Bridge, then he should have turned in a 10 out of 10 performance yesterday, because he knows that Zidane's watching. He's got Laurent Blanc on the sidelines watching him in the flesh. Yeah. If you really want to earn yourself a big money move, then you've got to play well in those big games. He didn't do himself any favours yesterday. As ever, he played slightly with his head down. He didn't seem to be very positive in his attack on the ball. Like, his general demeanour just seemed a bit flat, which it has done for,
this season.
We can all accept people get injuries, and we accept that as fans. But what you can't accept as a fan is the mental side of a player going. So fair enough, mate. Your hamstring's gone. You can't play. I understand that. But when you're on the pitch and it looks like you don't care or you're not trying,
I think I completely agree with you. I think if we think about, I'm going to list a few things here that Eden Hazard's been up to, and when you think about his comments pre-PSG,
disgusting.
I can completely agree. If you think about swapping shirts at half time with Di Maria,
disgusting.
Disgusting. And the performance overall yesterday.
Same.
It's not happening for him, is it? And I think that this is a crucial issue with Chelsea. I think we've both grown up watching far worse Chelsea players.
Oh yeah,
far worse.
But who we loved much more because they knew what it was about.
I remember,
play for the club.
Dropping out of Europe isn't a problem. Dropping out of Europe is not a problem. It's something that you get used to as a fan of any club because it's what generally happens. I remember in 2009, I think it was, when Michael Essien scored that volley against Barcelona, we were robbed, and Iniesta scored a fantastic goal to win it for them in the last minute. Chelsea players of that day were given a standing ovation as they left the pitch because they played with their heart and they fought and they were unlucky.
Yeah.
We can accept that. They were robbed. Yeah. We can accept that. But what we can never accept as football fans, this isn't even specific to being a Chelsea fan, is going out with a whimper, dropping out and turning in a pathetic display at home and losing in such fashion. Yeah. It's unacceptable, and these players aren't putting in a shift that's required.
There was no pride. On show last night, and these are top class players. They should be busting their neck to get into into the latter stages of this competition.
I couldn't agree more.
Like you said, it was just a very damp squib. As soon as Costa went off,
it was over.
There was no chance in the world that we were going to get a result.
So what that effectively means now, this all translates to the horrific news that may be the last European Champions League game at Stamford Bridge as we know it.
Yeah.
Chelsea won't play. It's unlikely that Chelsea will play another Champions League game at Stamford Bridge in Stamford Bridge's current format, which is a heartbreaker. We have to then look to the future.
Yes.
Let's assume, just for the sake of this conversation, that Antonio Conte is coming in.
Yes, let's.
Are you anxious about that? Do you feel that that's a good appointment? Do you feel like it's going to be a problem for him? Because obviously Champions League football not being around means it's going to be more difficult for us to sign certain players.
Yeah, I'm full of optimism over this potential appointment. As you know, Gianluca Vialli, one of my all-time favourite Chelsea players.
Yes, I know, Jack. You talk about him in every video we ever do.
He's been in the press this week giving his opinion on Conte. And he says that Conte is the exact man for the job.
Yes.
And that apparently they call him the Italian Mourinho. So Vialli's suggesting that the Chelsea fans are going to warm to him, going to warm to his personality, going to warm to his style of football. And yes, we can't offer people Champions League football next year, but he's such a respected figure, across the continental football scene that allegedly he can attract people.
He still have the pulling power.
People like Pogba and people that actually have a relationship with him and would want to come to London to play for him. Maybe do one season of no Champions League.
Yeah.
But, treat it as a building project. Okay. And so, if we can have one season of building and then by the season after.
So what do you think Conte needs to do? Fingers crossed he can use his position. He won 3 Italian leagues in a row. That is no mean feat. Fair play to him there.
Yeah.
If his position and his relationship with certain big players in certain leagues, and he can pull in a Pogba, that would be wonderful, because that's a dream, because we're going to definitely have to ship someone.
Yes, please.
You get Pogba in. Surely we then, if we assume that John Terry is also leaving, more terrible news, we need people in the club who understand the fibre and the DNA of Chelsea, don't we? We need people around the club who get what it means to play for Chelsea and to play at Stamford Bridge and to be one of us. You need players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the squad. He's been around 100%. The club since he was 8 years old. He needs to be involved next season, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think if you...
Kennedy, Traore, all these players do need an opportunity. Do you feel like Conte... firstly, do you feel like that's the right way to go?
I think 100%, especially as you've said, we're losing touch in a way with
the chasm
completely. And the fans.
Do you know what, mate? I'm so glad that you mentioned that. The chasm between the players, a group of 11 players who represent my club, and me who follows my club everywhere I go. The chasm between us has never been greater. I feel less affiliated to this group. Like when I was a kid, I used to go to Harlington and be able to kick a ball around with John Spencer.
Yeah.
I feel absolutely. Look, I love Eden Hazard. I think he's a great player, and the reason that I feel like a lot of people are so upset with him is because we know how great he can be.
Oh yeah,
but he leaves me cold. He leaves me cold with those performances, and swapping shirts with Di Maria at half time. How on earth
he should be docked like a month's wages for doing that.
I completely agree.
Your mind is not on the game if you're fannying about, thinking about
getting something for your collection,
thinking about your snooker room at home.
Yeah,
because that would look nice on the wall. It's like, grow up, mate.
Which is why we need players like Loftus-Cheek.
Loftus-Cheek, yeah. I think one positive we are going to take out of this season is the emergence of the youth team, and I think Gus Hiddink's been instrumental in doing that. Players like Loftus-Cheek, Traore, and Kennedy. Yeah. Those 3 players. If they can carry on getting game time, come next season, that's almost like getting a few new signings.
Yes, it is.
And like you say, they're young boys that have sort of grown, especially like Loftus-Cheek, grown up at the club. So they're not, they're not just being imported in from a foreign land.
They
don't know who we are as fans.
Yeah.
Like Loftus-Cheek yesterday, he didn't actually get a game, did he? But he was warming up just on the sideline where we were.
He was a fan. He was watching it like a fan.
Yeah, and you could tell, he was obviously getting a big cheer from the Chelsea fans as he was doing his warm-ups, and he was appreciative of that.
Massively
and he's
appreciative.
Turning around,
and he was watching the game though as a fan.
Yeah, you could see him like
involved with the game,
heading every ball, and that is, as a fan, that's what you want to see from your players.
Yeah.
Someone with a bit of passion and commitment to the cause.
Yeah.
So I think definitely youth is the way to go. However,
we need reinforcements.
I mentioned it yesterday. Our squad yesterday was shown up as being as thin as it is. When a player like Costa goes off, we don't have many options.
Yeah, well, gone are the days where you used to have Drogba starting and Anelka on the bench. Gone are the days where we had that sort of luxury.
Yeah.
So it really is a shame with what's happened, but we have to try and keep positive. We've got a big game against Everton in the cup coming up. So I'll see you all
There's
up there.
still a chance for silverware, Roy.
Still a chance for silverware, and
keep
also
that smile on your face,
and
mate.
we need it to have any chance of getting into Europe, because a season without any. I know not everybody will agree with me here, but I really hope that we qualify for the Europa League. I think that when we won it in Amsterdam, it was a marvellous moment, and I really do hope that we have a chance to enter it again.
Yeah.
But there, that concludes our post-mortem of yesterday. So please do us a favour and comment below. Let us know exactly what you think. And I suppose the only thing that I can do now is go and drown my sorrows.
Come on, Blues the colour.
Go on, you Blues.